What's up, everybody? Trinity here. So Marvel Studios' Moon Knight has 2 episodes left until it concludes, and I haven't done a proper review here on the channel, mostly because I usually do this live stream with my man Chillmonger, where we get together and flap our gums on Wednesday mornings after we have watched the show. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go and check that out and subscribe to my man Chillmonger. I want to do this review today, and I also want to ask and kind of give my thoughts. Rob from Comics Explained the other day asked if this series is doing the Moon Knight character justice. And I want to ask you guys the same thing. If you guys know Moon Knight from the comics at all, let me know down in the comments below if you do, and if you think that it's living up to the Moon Knight that you know from the comics. Now, my knowledge of this character is mostly from the omnibus that I bought last year. It's got a lot of like the first 20 issues of his first solo series, as well as a lot of his first appearances in Werewolf by Night, and then in the Defenders, and then also just kind of the Marvel Spotlight on and Marvel Presents, and then he also had some issues where he was in the Hawke magazine, which were some really great stories. And then I also read, I think the first 8 or was it like the 8 or 10 issues of the Jeff Lemire Moon Knight here with our channel members, and kind of read some of that story, and you can really see a lot of that in this series. And I really feel like there's a lot of things going on from like the original Moon Knight run in this series as well. Like the character of Marc Spector Moon Knight, we're really I feel like we're kind of getting the essence of the character, where it is a little bit different from, like the original comics, in the sense that he don't know about the personalities or anything, where in the comics originally you kind of seen him kind of just shift between the different personalities. A lot of times, just like how he would change clothes. Like a lot of times he'd be out as Moon Knight, and he would come home through his into his mansion through the little he would dive in through the little swimming pool and come up out of the little spa there in his bedroom, and come out, and he was he was Marc Spector, or maybe he was Stephen Grant. Marlene would usually be sitting there waiting for him. And that's one of the things they changed from the comics here that we know so far, is that we see that the character Layla appears by all accounts to be Marlene from the comics. Now, I don't think it was a necessary change to change the name of her. I'm not going to be mad about it. It's a minor thing. They could have just left her name Marlene, and it wouldn't have changed anything. They could have left the same actress and everything. She could have, but regardless of all of that, so in the comics, he didn't really do a whole lot of the, like the things they do here in the show, like the theatrics. He would just kind of switch, like he'd come out of the pool and he'd be somebody else, or he'd get home and he's a different personality. And it wasn't really any kind of big deal or anything. Where in the Lemire run, we see what we're kind of getting in this series, especially the end of episode 4, some of the things that we've seen there were definitely heavily influenced by the Jeff Lemire run. And I would say definitely a lot of this series has been influenced by the Jeff Lemire run. Now, all that being said, I do feel like this series is doing the character of Moon Knight. We're getting the essence of Moon Knight, I think, here. Marc Spector and Moon Knight, like with some minor changes here along the way. Like we still don't know what's going on with Jake Lockley. We've kind of had some little bit of teases and things here, but nothing too serious. If they're going to do that in this series, they've only got 2 episodes to do it, and I'm not really sure if that's going to happen, if he's maybe the reveal at the end before he goes on to be in a movie. Overall, I think they're doing the character justice. The only thing is, like the original Moon Knight comics, like even like they were kind of serious and they were kind of hard hitting, but they were also a little bit campy as well. Where here it seems like a little bit more of a kind of serious thing here. There's not any of that kind of silly, goofy, a little bit of the silly goofiness to it. And we see some things in here that are, like, the Marvel MCU jokey stuff, but other than that, I think they're doing the character justice so far in these first 4 episodes. The only thing is, like, it's, this series is essentially what we're gonna, like, what would be in, like, maybe 1 issue of an old Moon Knight comic, just kind of all in this series before he's gonna go on. This is just kind of the roots of the character. And I'm okay with that, and I think they're doing pretty good so far through these first 4 episodes. And that kind of brings me to my review. The review of the show, like, I've largely enjoyed this show. I think it's definitely one of the better shows that has been on Disney Plus with the Marvel Studios just the shows they've got there on Disney Plus. Now, I do also think that this is different from all the other shows as well. We're here, this is really the first series that they have done where they are actually introducing a new character and they don't have any other characters around to bring him up or introduce him with. You look at the first one, WandaVision. We already know Wanda. We already know Vision, and we get introduced to some new characters through there. We knew Jimmy Woo, but then we meet Monica Rambeau, and we see, we get introduced to Sword. We see her kids, and just some of the different things. We got Agatha Harkness. Just some of the different things they did there. Then in Falcon and Winter Soldier, these were characters we already knew, and we got to see Zemo, and we got to see, just some of the little things going on there with some of the other characters that we met through there as well. And then obviously we get into Loki. We met Sylvie. We meet the TVA and just some of those characters that happened in that series. I mean, we got introduced to characters. I wouldn't say we necessarily got an origin story of these characters necessarily. You could say in Hawkeye, we definitely did, though, where we were, kind of followed Kate Bishop a little more closely, but we kind of learned about her, but she was also there with Hawkeye there to kind of introduce her into the Marvel landscape, where here we get into Moon Knight, and there's nobody there that's helping boost him up yet. As of now, it's all new characters. There's no Tony Stark, there's no Doctor Strange, there's no any of that there. Now, I do have theories about that, which I'll kind of mildly touch on here just in just a minute. But altogether, I think the show so far has been pretty good, though slow moving through everything that's going on. I do think it's interesting because one of the things I've talked about throughout this series in my conversations with Chillmonger is that I kind of question how much of this is real and exactly what's going on. And then by the time you get into episode 4, we see where he was at the institution, and it makes you think how much of this is actually going on in his head and how much of it was actually real there in that we're actually seeing in the show. And I think there's there's a lot of parallels of things going on in the show as well. Like, say for instance, the opening shot of Moon Knight, not like after the very first episode, right after the Marvel Studios logo comes up, the first shot we see is Stephen Grant waking up in his apartment, and then the very next shot is this shot where you see the Rubik's Cube kind of upside down in his apartment, or just kind of laying like a pyramid, and it looks very much like the pyramids that we seen later in episode 3, was it 3, where we seen him at Mogart's, and he had the little pyramids there. And they do that with a lot of things throughout this series, where you're seeing something here and you're seeing something very parallel here. And then we seen at the end of episode 4 in the mental institution, and we've seen all of that stuff in there, and it makes you start to wonder how much of what we've seen in this show is made up in his head, and how much of it is real. If you also take a look, like, remember there was we seen in the preview the show where it showed him Marc Spector falling to the ground, but it looked from probably pretty high up. And then, we actually haven't seen that in the show yet. But at the end of episode 4, after he gets shot, well, I guess not necessarily the end, but towards the end, he gets shot by Arthur Harrow. We've seen him fall back into the water, and he was falling. And it feels like the very similar thing. And also, like in episode 1, Mark's like, every morning I wake up feeling like I got hit by a bus. This, to me, sounds like somebody that has been jacked up on drugs. I mean, when I was going through surgery after I got hit by this car and everything, they had me on some stuff, and I was just on a couple of pills here at home hanging out, and I'm waking up like the same way, like feeling like I got hit by a bus. So it sounds like somebody who's probably been pumped full of drugs at the same time. But I mean, that's just, if you ask me, like, they're doing a lot of things here. They give a lot of implications that maybe this has all been in his head. And I gotta say, I kind of feel like a lot of it has been, but I think a lot of this stuff happened. What we're seeing in the show, I think a lot of it happened. Some very, very cool things going on in the show. Altogether, I've really enjoyed it. My largest thing is the Marlene thing. They didn't have to change her name. I think the series has been pretty good. A little slow, and it kind of seems like it's dragging its feet a little bit, but this is also just kind of the origins of this character. I'm interested to see where they're going with it before they bring this character into the MCU, the larger MCU, bring him in to a movie. If they're going to do a season 2, my guess is we're going to see him in a movie next. And again, this is the first series that they're doing with this character, with a solo character, and having nobody else there. And I think they've done a pretty good job throughout this whole season. I think it's been good. I do think that this series has been doing the character justice in the sense of kind of giving you the basic feel of the character and not really derailing anything from the comics, really kind of holding true the true nature of the comics in any of the stuff that I've read in the first place. But I don't know, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, if this series is doing the Moon Knight character justice from the comics, if you've read those, and what you think of the series so far. That's all I've got for this video today, folks. Thank you all so much for tuning into the Second Street Marvel. My name is Trinity. If you're not already, please make sure you subscribe, click the little bell and all that good stuff. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs down if you don't. It's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But while you're at it, make sure you share with a friend and invite them to come hang out with us here on the Second Street Marvel. You all have a good day, and we'll see you in the next video. Later.